lending gear to a friend. Scott, should I lend it or should I rent it? How many people ask you?
Rent it. I did that when I first got into business. I had friends that were DJs, and can you lend me this, or just I had an extra mixer, and I lent it out. Never did I do that again. I got it back, and I'm like, first thing I went and checked, to make sure it would work, and they didn't tell me they had liquefied it on me. They didn't tell me yes. And before I plugged it in, I went to check, make sure everything was good. Good thing I did, because if I'd have plugged it in, ain't no telling what would have happened. I might have gotten a shock on, because those old mixers, they weren't plastic, they were metal back then. And called him up and said, what happened? So, I don't know. Somebody must have had a drink and holding it up over the, how people will come up to your system and lay up over it. Well,
yeah.
And I got down there and I says, smells like beer to me. Yeah, he did good faith, and he did replace it. But after that, I went through a bunch of paperwork. I finally had people, man, I'm not borrowing anything from you anymore. I says, no, I'm going to make you sign a damage agreement because of that happening. That mixer at the time was $200.
Wow.
That was a $200. Yeah, it was a two-channel. It was only a two-channel mixer, but still, mixers were expensive back in the day, and I just, after that, I had to draw up something else, and I actually got to the point where no more lending. I don't know. Howie, you ever had an experience on lending or renting gear out?
Actually, that is part of my income is rentals. And
wow.
So I actually have a professional contract written up for rentals, and I'm going to use the same phrase that Ben Stowe does, and I'm going to say it depends about lending. It depends. If it's a close friend, yes, someone that I know takes care of their gear, then yes, I would lend it to them on a case by case basis. But as a general rule, I can count on less than one hand, if I had a couple of fingers missing, how many people have that privilege. Otherwise, the contract, what that does is, even though there's not a big rental fee, what I have done is given them their money back if the equipment's in good shape, and that's how I do that. But when I do a rental that for somebody I don't know, backyard party says, hey, we can't afford a DJ, but we want a speaker up, $150 flat rate. I go, I set it up, I come back, I pick it up 4 hours later. And yeah.
So you can become, I see a lot of guys, and I've done this before, where they just didn't have a budget to have a DJ. And it's unfortunate. It happens quite a bit. It does. And I have a passive system that I rent out. Okay, not going into detail, a passive system with a simple mixer that I'll rent out for, say, $200 for the evening. Usually they'll get it for $400. So break it down, it's about $50 an hour. But I do a contract, but I have on that contract that I'm leasing them this gear, and I have it itemized as exactly what it is. I might get with you later on with that, Howie, and see kind of how you not copying it exactly, but see how you kind of do your agreement and see if I might need to work on something on them. That's what I do on mine, and I try to do a deposit. I prefer a cash deposit, or I've held a credit card before, but those can get sketchy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You never know on those. You know, you go to
Really?
run it, and there's nothing there, and you just got bumped. So, you know, that could happen as well. But Robin, what do you do as far as your equipment? Do you lease or lend?
I've had bad experiences lending.
I think we all have.
Yeah, I loaned out a couple canopies. They disappeared. Nobody knew where they were at. They were lost in the warehouse. All kinds of excuses. I tried to get them back for a year. And most of the vendors, they might promise you a canopy, and it might be hours after you set up, you know, maybe right before the event starts and you finally get a canopy. So I really got frustrated with that. And I don't mind lending something I can replace easily. But if it's a big dollar item, you are leaving me your credit card, and I am writing down your driver's license and everything. I'm not going to make it easy on you, but I do have to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to feel like you're the type of person that stands by your word, and you'd rather cut off your right arm than owe anybody, because that's how I am. I don't like to owe anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if my borrowing something from you would ruin a friendship, or, you know, to take any chances, if I borrowed something from you, I would replace it brand new. I don't care if it wasn't brand new. I'm not going to give you any excuses, but I really don't borrow. I have so much junk. Gear. Sorry. I have so much gear. I don't borrow.
Well, let me ask you, do you do rentals? Do you take them out, set them up, show them how to use it, that type of thing when you do that, Howie, or they come and pick it up from you?
No, what I do, I don't provide a microphone for that particular service. I bring a powered speaker, and I let them. It's called Roll Your Own, and it's like, I'm going to give you a speaker, and it's going to be Bluetooth. You play off of Spotify, off of your tablet, off of your phone, and they've been very successful because anybody can go on. That just one person has to log off of their phone, the other person connects. I write down the name of the device that they're going to look for, that they can connect to Bluetooth wise, and that's it. It's that simple, that it literally is less than 5 minutes. Tripod, speakers up, power it on, and here's the address. Have a great time. This is not, I wouldn't rent out systems for weddings or anything like that. These are just backyard parties, reunions, that type of thing.
Yeah, this was they were just really in need of it, and I had another event, and they just really couldn't. I just wasn't a fit, so I leased it out. My wife looked at me like, "What are you fixing to do?" I says, "This is an old system. I've had it for many, many years.
Right.
Valued it down. It was probably less than $400 or $500 if I looked at replacing it as far as true value through it. Uplighting. I make my money back with those new Chauvet Slim Par 12s with the BTs on them.
I've rented uplighting as well.
Yes.
And they have that national chain that, $20 per uplight. But what they're giving you is those old style 10 millimeters and a basic set of instructions that it's one color, and that's about it. But when I do it, I'll go and I'll set it and make odd even colors. But I'll set that up, and it's $20 a fixture, and it's a minimum of 10 fixtures, and most people take I usually average about $300.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And I'll go there, I'll set them up, and I know that they're going to be fine. I know that they won't get, because I'll do the taping and the whole bit. And then at the end of the event, I come in and get it. It's a great passive income.
I've never read uplights before. I just don't trust people's excuses like, it walked off or something like that. I bought a PV Escort 3000. It's a little PA system thing. It's a carry all in one.
Mm-hmm.
It's already got damaged.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's an investment to lend stuff, you know, but it's better to rent it where you don't have to chase the money down. And that way you're renting it, you're getting cash already. You've got their credit card and their ID, so you make sure they bring it back. But I prefer not to do it.
That I don't do. Everything I do is I deliver it and I pick it up.
Mm-hmm. I do that.
Yeah. And I don't have to. I mean, I have battery powered up lights, but when I do the rentals, there's cables involved and it's all taped down. It would be too difficult for the average civilian to try to take one of these. They wouldn't know how to get it apart. It would be too much. And they're not going to do that during the middle of the event. I've never had anything stolen like that, because I'll show up, you know, 10 minutes before and I'm in the background. I can see my lights are still on, and the event ends. I walk in and I start taking my stuff down, and I can keep an eye on it. But I don't let anybody just drive off with it. That's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you for that. I mean, I need to do that more often. A lot of times it's a DJ that needs a couple extra speakers or something like that. And that's why I was talking about the lending part. Because lots of times when I do favors, and if I need a favor, it's not going to happen. But I've done lots of favors and it just seems like it doesn't get reciprocated. But I usually don't ask too often. You know, it's not like I'm asking all the time or anything, but most people do use you as the local guitar center.
Well,
You know?
When I do, actually the uplighting thing is, believe it or not, it's not from let's say you know, a wedding couple. It's typically from a DJ that has promised something that he doesn't have, and they'll say, "Hey, dude, I need to uplight this room. I have 4 par lights," and they know that I have it, but I still go and set it up.
Oh, wow. Howie saves Howie, more or less, you help, you're there to save the day on that. Then.
Well,
With the
what
guy,
it is that they know that I'm not doing a wedding for $500. They've already hired the DJ. There's a ton of them in my area, and they know that I have this stuff, and they know that, okay, they're willing to pay to rent it. You know, they're actually paying to play, because if they're paying me $200 out of their $500, you know, they're not making too much for all that work. But they've cut themselves short. They can't afford to even buy them because they're working so inexpensively.
Yeah. Well, that was a good topic.